Vegas Golden Knights insider Gary Lawless joins us from Sin City to talk about that game, and I hope a few things CFL, as that's never far from his mind and heart. How you doing, Gare?
I'm good, Rod. How are you?
As you can see...
Can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. As you can see, things couldn't be much better for me, although being in Vegas would be nice. How did that game go last night, Gary, the 4-2 loss to the Sharks? I saw you had a mix of young and old in the lineup.
No, is there no washing machine at that place you're staying at?
Why?
You're wearing a dirty shirt. You got a Panthers logo on there, Rod. What's going on?
When in Rome, my friend. When in Rome.
When in Rome, indeed. Yeah. A lot of young guys last night, and some players that hadn't. Lucas Cormier never played a professional game before. A young star from Charlottetown in the Quebec League. He was in the lineup for Vegas. Paul Cotter had a good night. Mark Stone got a puck in the ear. We're waiting to find out if that's serious or not. So, I think there were 7 or 8 guys that you would call Golden Knights regulars. Logan Thompson and Jesper Vikman were the goalies for Vegas. Thompson played the whole game. So a little bit of a different look for Pete DeBoer and his group.
Gary, we've really enjoyed our NHL sort of training camp previews, and I guess this would qualify as that. You're still sort of in training camp. How many spots legitimately are open on that Vegas Golden Knights roster out of 20, would you say?
Yeah, interesting. After the game last night, and we haven't seen all of the players, but I just sort of said, based on what we saw last night, if it was opening night, you'd have your same top 6 as last year. Your third line would be Nolan Patrick between Janmark and Evgeny Dadonov. And then the fourth line would be, there's 4 guys, I think, Will Carrier, Brett Howden, Nick Waugh, and Keegan Colasar all in the mix for that. And I would suggest to you that Waugh and Colasar have jobs, and it's Howden and Carrier fighting for that last spot. And then how they align that group, I'm not too sure. The blue line will be very similar to what it was last year. Dylan Coughlin, I think, will be the 7th D instead of Nick Holden, who's been traded to Ottawa. So spots, I'm not sure if there's any. Peyton Krebs could sort of take what I just said and said, wait a minute, I'm going to make this team and try and take a job. But, he's going to have to be really good because of, if they keep him, they got to waive somebody. You know what I mean? And you don't want to lose Brett Howden or Will Carrier for nothing. Those are guys who would get scooped up by other organizations. So spots, I'm not sure there's any. But then the next question is, where does everybody play? Nolan Patrick was really good last night. And if he keeps growing and keeps getting better, maybe one day Pete DeBoer wakes up and says, this is a number 2 pick overall. This is a guy who's supposed to be a franchise center. I think I want to look at him between Stone and Pacioretty. I don't think that's the way the season starts, but you've seen Nolan Patrick a lot as a junior player. Isn't that the expectation? Isn't that what you think he's going to be at some point in time?
You know what? I was going to save the Nolan Patrick talk for later, but let's get into it now. He's a first-round talent. There's no 2 ways about it. And when the Golden Knights acquired him, because people know that they are my favorite team, and they still are, Gary, I thought if anybody could get him to play or knows what he's capable of, it's Kelly McCrimmon. And obviously Peter DeBoer must feel the same way. But he has not gotten to his potential level yet. I wonder how they think that they're going to get him there.
Yeah, unlocking Nolan Patrick, I guess, would be what you would say. Pete DeBoer said something really interesting the other day. He was asked, why are you excited? Or are you excited about having Nolan Patrick? And his response was, when we were able to acquire Dadonov, who DeBoer had in Florida, he was excited because he knew he was getting. I know DeBoer said, "I know what this player can do," and so he said, for the same reason, I'm excited about Nolan Patrick because no one knows a player better than a guy who's coached a player. And he said, and Kelly McCrimmon coached Nolan Patrick not just for a little while, for a long time. Kelly McCrimmon knows what Nolan Patrick is and what he can be, and so that made DeBoer excited. I think, removing expectations from Nolan Patrick and that kind of pressure that goes along with being a second overall pick, I think that'll be a big bonus for him. I think surrounding him with the right kind of people, and he's got like stones like his big brother, another guy from Winnipeg that played for the Wheat Kings. There's a connection there. Then Colasar is a Manitoban. Howden, born in Alberta but raised in Manitoba. White Cloud, a Manitoban. There's a real connection and comfort there, I think, for Nolan Patrick. Nolan Patrick is a shy guy. He doesn't have to worry about that here. That's all he's already family. He's already part of this group. And I also think that the communication between Pete DeBoer and Nolan Patrick will be really strong. But I also think that, it doesn't hurt that Ryan Craig was a great Wheat King, and he's right there on the bench, and he can kind of, speak to Nolan. And all these connections make it easy and comfortable for Nolan Patrick. And every person is different. You're able to walk out of a long spot in radio in Saskatchewan and start a new venture and look like the same guy overnight. Some people couldn't do it. Some people, you put them in a different situation and they might struggle for a little while. I think that this situation for Nolan Patrick is way better than Philadelphia was.
Oh, yeah, and I think if anybody can, if actually the only team that could probably do it is Vegas, Gary, you're right. But the thing with Nolan, great family, great talent. He's got it all. Maybe it's just a maturity thing, and he's still a very young guy, but hopefully it comes around sooner than later. But look, I'm not joking when I say the Golden Knights are my favorite team. Although the Panthers are making a run, they're treating me very well, Gary, very well. But I don't even need to ask you. Marc-Andre Fleury and Ryan Reeves, probably two of the top 3 jersey sales in Vegas. Would I be right? And they're not there. So how's that going over with this year's team? Or with the fan base?
With the team, I think it's fun. Yeah,
the fan base. The fan base.
Yeah, the fan base, I think. Listen, it's like any time you trade away a favorite player, people get upset. People went out and bought Marc-Andre Fleury jerseys, bought Ryan Reeves jerseys. They loved those guys. Now they're not here. Now one of them's in Chicago, one of them's in New York. It's not just them. Nate Schmidt was traded at some point in time. Paul Stastny came here. People really liked him. Thomas Nosek. He's an original Golden Knight, a guy that scored big goals for the franchise. 2 goals in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Important guy here. Fans are sad to see those players go, but professional sport, the National Hockey League, if you're not moving, it's like sharks. If you're not moving, you're dead. And teams all around the NHL are trying to get better all the time. Is Kelly McCrimmon supposed to stay stagnant and not try and make his team better? He looked at what happened in the playoffs last year and decided, okay, I can't have $12 million wrapped up in goaltending. I need to spend some of that money on offense. And went to the market and found a deal for Marc-Andre Fleury, put him in a good place. He's going to have a chance to really do some great things with the young Blackhawks team that might, is getting Jonathan Taves back and still has Patrick Kane. Some exciting stuff. Went and got Seth Jones. It could be really fun for Fleury in Chicago this year. People are upset, but if Kelly McCrimmon can book a parade on Las Vegas Boulevard at some point in time, I think they'll understand why he did it and be happy that he did it.
Yeah, and Gary, listen, I got to get around to the CFL in a minute. Here's my last Golden Knights thing. You guys picked by everybody to be number 1 in the Pacific Division, followed closely by Edmonton. I'm sure expectations aren't anything that the Golden Knights would shy away from, that brain trust or players. I'm talking about pressure. Like, do they feel pressure, or does that just roll off their back?
Yeah, they feel pressure, but the pressure comes from within. These guys are here to win. This is a very talented team assembled by management here, and every player wants to win a Stanley Cup for their own reasons. And when you're this close, when you've been to the Final Four 3 out of the 4 years of the last 4 seasons, the disappointment comes along with that, and these players want to get over disappointment and want to win the last game of the season, and they're driven to do that.
So to the CFL, we are officially halfway through, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the best team in the CFL. There, I said it. Does it stay that way right to the end?
Yeah, there are all these little slogans. They mean things for, it's cliche to say that, the CFL the season doesn't begin till Labor Day. Well, this year, obviously, it's different because of when the season started and the length of the season. No preseason games and a year off. Like, I think you need to be really careful about anointing anyone. I famously wrote a column in Mike O'Shea. I think it was his rookie year in Winnipeg as the head coach. I think they were 4-0, or they won 4 of their first 5. And I wrote a column saying, this is a mirage. This team isn't that good. And it was true. The team crumbled after that. They weren't a contender. This is not a mirage. This is a really good football team, good on the line of scrimmage. Caleros is playing excellent at quarterback. Andrew Harris seems to still have a little bit left in the tank. I just think you have to be cautious about saying they're the best team in the CFL. Will they stay there? I guess they are at this moment. Will they stay there? Lots of football to be played. I think the big thing for them, though, is make Edmonton or Saskatchewan or whoever it's going to be, make them come to their place for the Western Final, because it's going to be. When's the Western Final going to be played? Like the last week of November?
Wow.
Is that the rate? Is that the timing?
December 12th is the Grey Cup, December 12th. So walk it back, I would say December 5th, I guess.
Yeah. So if I'm the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I want to use that to my advantage. I want to make whoever's coming come to their place and be able to take advantage of the conditions of a home crowd and all the good things that come with being the home team. But that, to me, is that's got to be Mike O'Shea's big goal right now. Although Mike will tell you, I text Mike after most games, and he always says, one of the texts he always sends back to me is, well, we've got Hamilton next week. It'd be great to start another 1-game win streak. He really is about that moment. And boy, I bet you the people in Winnipeg are glad they didn't fire Mike O'Shea because he wore shorts.
And they were 1-5 at the time. But hey, I'm telling you, Gary, I could talk to you all day. You've now found out that speaking of Mike's, Mike Davis is one of my best friends, and he's now the coach of the Las Vegas Nighthawks Indoor Football League team. He says you guys talk almost every day, and mostly about CFL stuff. Is that a fact?
Our graphics designer, Brady Hackmeister, probably knew nothing about the CFL prior to this season, and now he knows a ton because Mike comes to see him every morning usually when the players are starting to practice, and I'm at my spot looking out over the ice watching practice, and Mike comes over to chat for a moment to Brady, and it usually ends up in this long conversation about who's playing quarterback in Ottawa and what are they doing, and he's a real interesting guy, knows the CFL at a high level, so it's a lot of fun for me to be able to still chat about the league with him.
Well, maybe they'll be winning a United Cup in the first year in the Indoor Football League. Gary, thanks for following all you're doing, man. No, me either. Thanks for the time, my man. Stay safe down there. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, change your shirt, okay? Jeez.
Send me a new one. Gary Lawless
All right,
joining us from Summerlin, Nevada. Hey, I'll put on anything if the price is right.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.